and welcome back to No Acres Homestead. I'm Kelsey. This is my kitchen, half of it. You will see chickens in the background. Do apologize for that. We're building the coop. My dehydrator is going. That is a different film that I'm going to be teaching you all. This is my canning things, at least some of them. I wanted to do a crash course in canning. There are two main different types of canning. There is a third, but I do not do it. That is called dry canning, and that uses the oven. I do not dry can, and that's for like dry goods, like beans and flowers and stuff. I guess I kind of do that because I use my food saver that sections out all the air, but that's a different method that I will go over a different day. So the two main types of ball canning, or canning, are water bath and pressure canning. But before we get started, I want to say, do your research. There's so much information out there. There's so many people rebel canning. That is cannings that do not go the USDA approved. I do some rebel canning, but I don't do a lot of it. And when I do film a canning video, I will let you know if it is approved method or if it is a quote-unquote rebel canning. So please do your research. Please, there's so much information out there on the internet, and guess what? Not everything on the internet is true. I would highly recommend, as should anybody, to get a ball canning cookbook. This will have the approved methods and times and different ways that you can can. It is highly recommended that you can the way it is said to can. For instance, water bath canning is for high acidic foods. Pressure canning is for low acidic foods. You do not, and I repeat 1,000 times, do not want to can meat water bath canning. No, you will get sick. It does not come up to the temperature that it needs to enter into the middle of the can to kill the botulism. Do not do that. So learn what methods are best for what canning situations. There are many different types of ball canning cookbooks out there. These are just 3 that I found on hand. They have a lot of fun recipes in them. I have made some of them. I don't venture out a whole lot on making like jams and jellies and such since I cannot have them. I am on keto, and a lot of them require sugar. But I do not just can for myself, I can for my family as well, which is why I have so many canners. I can for my parents and siblings, and for Christmases and stuff, I will give away jams and jellies. But I, myself, do not have them on hand because I will eat them. I do have pumpkin butter in the freezer, and that's pretty tasty. So, please do your research. Please make sure that you are jumping in this with everything that you need. With that being said, let's get to the crash course. So, like I mentioned, there is water bath canning. Water bath canning is for high acidic foods, such as like fruits and jams and jellies and pickled items and tomatoes. But tomatoes is a funny little business because you can water bath can those and you can pressure can them. So with water bath canning, it's just a big stock pot. You don't need to go out and buy a special stock pot. As long as the jars that you put in here, they get covered. You will fill it. You can see mine is well used. You fill it up with water, and you will put the jars on the rack that is below. So it will look like this comes out, and you will have the water boiling underneath before you put your jars in. You want hot jars, hot water. So you will place them around in your water bath canner, and you will lay it in here, put the lid on, and you will boil it for however long the method says to. You want the water to stay consistently above your jars, and that's what helps get into the core temperature and seal your jars. So that is a great beginner's Canning. Water bath canning, a lot of people dive into that first because you can do pickles and pickled items, and they feel safer doing this. Pressure canning can be daunting and scary, but I promise it's not. Just follow the rules with it and you're fine. So that is water bath canning. And so next we have pressure canning. I have 3 pressure canners here in front of me. I have so many pressure canners. One, I started off, I think it was 2014-ish, pressure canning, and I just went to Walmart and I bought a Presto Canner, pressure canner. Actually bought them both at the same time. But this was, I think, $50. I'm not entirely sure how much they are now. But this works just as good as this. These are the All-American canners. Santa brought me these. Santa's very good to me. But Santa brought me these, and because I do not just can for myself, I do can for my parents and my siblings as well, because I love to can, and I've been teaching them how to as well. So this will hold as many jars as this. This holds double. That's why this thing looks humongous. So with pressure canning, it has to seal. Now I will say, you cannot pressure can in a pressure cooker like the Instant Pot, but you can pressure cook in a pressure canner. I will say that again. I cannot take my Instant Pot and can in it, but if I wanted to, I can cook a roast or whatever in here. So please make sure the pressure cooker that you are buying is a pressure canner. There's a big difference. If you are trying to can in a pressure cooker, such as the Instant Pot, you will not only break your jars, but you might break the device because it does not get up to the temperature that you need it to get up to. You lose the food, or if it does somehow work, you have not killed all the bacteria and botulism in your jars, and you could potentially get sick. So please buy the correct pressure canner. So with this, there is, with every pressure canner, there is a different, oh bud, there's a different level of water that you need. I cannot see, hence the glasses, so I mark mine with, I don't know if you can see that. I mark it with a permanent marker, and that's how much water that I need to put in here when I'm pressure canning. You do not put more than that. That is the difference, well, one of the difference between water bath and pressure canning is that you want to put the required amount, which is typically 2 to 3 inches of water, in your pressure canner. Another thing that you want to do is you do not want your jars to sit directly in the canner. You want to set on something so that they don't scorch and burn and bust. Ask me how I know that, because I have forgotten to put this in there before. So if you do not have this, so say if it's lost, what you can do is take the rings, you can take your rings and you can tie them together and place it on the bottom of your canner. You can also do that in a water bath if you don't have that as well. And that way they're uplifted off of the bottom of the canner. So once you get this filled with your jars, different sizes, different times, then you seal on the lid and you put on your weight. I had to think which weight was for which. I have 2 different weights. So you put on your weight, you let it jiggle, and I will go over that whenever I do a canning video, which I'm actually just getting ready to can mushrooms. So I will use both types of my canners that I do have so that you get a feel for the All-American and you get a feel for the Presto. We will go over what it looks like once it's actually in process. The All-American canner is the same. It just looks more heavy-duty. This does not have a gasket or a seal like this one does. This is metal on metal, or steel on steel. You do have to have Vaseline to Vaseline it, and then you twist it shut, and then you seal it. So this is the exact same, except for my jars can stack in here. So this can hold 18 pints and 16 quarts. This can hold 8 pints and 8 pints. And 7 quarts, 7 quarts. When I'm canning a whole bunch in the summer, I use all 3 of them. Which brings me to, I have an external element. I also have a gas one outside. The reason I have this is because once vegetable season hits, I can a lot of vegetables. So I can have all 3 of mine going at once. Or, like today, I'm going to can in both of these just so you can get a feel for how both of these work. So I can have one on here and one on the stove. Or, I use this the most, even if I'm just canning one simple batch, because I don't like to tie up my stove. If I'm canning, I'm typically in the kitchen cooking something else, or prepping, or doing something, and I don't want to tie up my stove. So I do have an external one. I think it was like 20, 30 bucks off Amazon. I highly recommend it. But if you don't, and you use your stove, I would recommend getting a canner element. It is not needed, but it will save your elements on your stove. I do not have one. My mom has one because we do can at her house a lot during the canning season because her kitchen is bigger than mine. So I typically use this or my gas one outside. When you do can, pressure can, or even water bath, your kitchen is going to get so hot. Your house is going to heat up incredibly. I keep my house around 62, 65 degrees, so I don't really have that problem. I mean, sometimes I do, but I keep my house very cold. I know not everybody can live like a penguin like I can, so just be warned, if it's hot outside, it is going to be so much hotter inside when you're canning. Just like if you're cooking all day. So those are the canners. And once I go into canning things in the canners, I will break down more of what you need. Now, jars. There are all different types of jars. And as you can see, I have some of them. I don't have a whole lot used. I mainly use pints for myself because it's just me and my household. So I don't need to can a whole lot at once. These are half-gallon jars. They're big. This is a quart. I put my dry goods in these. You cannot can in these, but this is where the dry canning method comes into play. So this is my dehydrated corn that I have in here. I will do a dehydrating video later on. There it is. But I use all my dry goods in my half-gallon jars. So that's what these are good for. Quart jars. I use these a lot for my family, or broth, or I make my own chili beans, which are down there. So there's 2 different types. There's regular mouth and there's wide mouth. There's not a difference. Wide mouth came out later after regular mouth. I prefer wide mouth, but they're harder to find. Regular mouth are more standard. I have both. There is not, one doesn't hold more than the other. They're just the same. It's just whichever one you prefer. The reason I prefer these is because I can stick my hand down in them to wash them. I cannot stick my hand down in here, but you know, sponges, things. So it's just, my friend actually prefers regular mouth because the lids are slightly cheaper. I prefer wide mouth, easier to clean to me. So these are quart jars. These are 32 ounces, 4 cups. So these are really good. Like for my mom, I will can tomatoes in these. I will can green beans. We will do broth, chili beans. So these are really good. I do chicken, roast, all that. And here, these are good if you have more than one person in your household. Then comes my favorite jar. It's called the pint and a half. A while ago, they discontinued these, and I honestly don't know if they're back on the market. They could be, but I don't know. I like these because it's in between a quart. Let's see if I can do this without breaking them. It's in between a quart and a pint, which is great for me because it's just me and my household. I like to put green beans in these because sometimes I want leftover green beans. So this is 2 cups. This is 3 cups. I do canned green beans in here. You will see I do not have them down there. I ran out this year. It's okay though. So I like green beans in these. People can asparagus in these. I don't like to can asparagus because I like crunch. I only like fresh asparagus. I don't even like frozen asparagus. So these, to me, are corn, broth, and green beans. That's what I can in these. I sometimes can roast in these, but I typically do my quarts for roast. These I use constantly. These are pints. Again, there is regular mouth and wide mouth pints. No difference, except I can stick my hand in this and clean it. So, and you can see I use regular and I use wide because these are easier to find than these. The lids are cheaper than these. By like 50 cents or something, but it's still cheaper. So with these, I put everything in these. I do my own beans. I can my own beans. Tomato sauce, peaches. I do hamburgers and turkey and meat, and I do some broths in these because not everything you always do needs a lot of broth. So this is very versatile in what you can put in there. So I use this a lot, and I use these for my mom when we're doing corn or when we're doing tomatoes. She does do some tomatoes in this, but mostly we use quarts for my mom. So then there's jelly jars. So this is a 12-ounce jelly jar. This is for jellies. So I do have a pumpkin butter in my freezer, but I'm not going to go get that. So this is for jellies and jams or pickled items. There are different types of jelly jars. There is a 12-ounce. There is an 8-ounce, and there is a 4-ounce. All have different processing times. There are many different shapes and forms. Some are pretty, they're all pretty, but some are just different shapes. But essentially, it's 12, 4, or 12, 8, and 4. So these are, I just use these for pickled items, such as I do pickled relish or pickled red onions or jams and jellies. My friend actually made me a sweet onion jam in one of these. So good. So that's what these are for. These use the regular mouth lids, but they don't have wide mouth in these because they're so tiny. So those are the different types of jars. And some of the things that I have that you can can. I do have homemade chili beans. Have chicken broth, black beans, tomatoes, corns, mushrooms. Mushrooms is actually what I'll be showing you here soon because that's my last jar. I use them a lot. So I'll be showing you that. Salsa, peaches, ground turkey, ground hamburger, and so forth. Now, I know some people say, well, why do you can meat? The reason I can meat is for 2 reasons. 3? I don't know. 1, probably 3. 1, it's less space in your freezer to store other items because there's a lot you can freeze that saves space, or that saves your items and make them fresh longer. I will do what you can freeze later on. I also do it because if I come home from work and I'm super tired and I didn't lay out anything from the freezer and I don't have anything planned, I can grab any of my meats. I only have 2 of the amount of my meats except for my hamburger and turkey. Sorry, you can hear the chickens. But I can grab that and make tacos or a soup or sloppy joes or anything, and it's instant. It's an instant fast food meal from your pantry. I also can my meats in as much as I can, because what if your freezer goes out and you don't have a backup generator? I do not have a backup generator. My goal is to get one, but I don't have one. So I can things that can be canned, so in case I lose my freezers and refrigerators. Granted, they're still stuffed full because I don't know how to keep them minimum. So, but that is why I can certain things that I do can. So along with all this, you're going to need a little kit. So this is not needed, but I love it. This is when you move your hot jars, you don't burn yourself. Because it is not a canning day for me if I have not burned myself at least 4 times. So this is great for picking up your jars. You do not want to move your jars a whole lot after you can them for at least 24 hours, but I will go over that when I do a canning video. This is really good for dipping out your waters to put your jars in, or your sauces or anything like that. This is a nice deep, and I got this off Amazon. Or you can just use any ladle. My ladle's dirty in there, so I don't have it, so you can use this. Then you will need your different types of lids. There's regular mouth, there's wide mouth. There are Tattler lids. I do not have Tattler lids. I want to get Tattler lids. I just have not invested in them. The difference between these and Tattler lids is Tattler lids you can reuse. These you cannot. This is a one and done. The only way you can reuse these after they are canned, I will save mine to put on my dehydrated goods. You cannot use these again to can, whether it's pressure canned or water bath canned, but you can use them for dry goods. So these are the 2 different types of lids. I don't have a Tattler lid. I've never used a Tattler lid. My best friend gave me one to use, and I'm going to try it on the mushrooms to see if I want to invest in them. You will also need one of these bad boys. This is what goes over your jars to pour your contents in. It helps keep the rim clear of food. You will still get food on them, but you wipe the rims. We'll go over that when I do a canning video. So this is very handy. So there are many different types of these. I have a lot of them. This comes with your standard kit. It goes inside the jar. It's really good for regular mouths. I like this one because it's great for wide mouths. So there are 2 different types. Both work just as good. You can still, they're universal. Then you need a debubbler. You always want to debubble your food before you can it. Again, we'll go over that. You don't have to have one of these. It does come in the kits that you buy. But if you debubble in these jars, you never want to use like silverware or anything. You only want to use plastic or wood, because you do not want to risk scraping the jars. So you need a debubbler. I know my friend loses hers all the time. She has 3 kids, so she uses either baby spoons or wood. Use what you have on hand. Just do not use silverware. Then you need, I don't know the technical term for this, but a jar grabber getter out. The water is going to be scalding hot. You do not want to stick your hand in there. That is a huge no-no. This also comes with a kit that you buy. I think the kit's like 20 bucks. So how you use this is when your jars are in there, you go in, you clamp your jar, and you pull it out, and you put it on a tiled surface or wherever you're putting it. This protects you from burning yourself because they're super hot, and you don't want your jars to sit in the water for more than 10-15 minutes after it's finished. So you pull the jars out, you place them in a cool, dry area for them to rest. This is a must. I have several of these. because I misplaced them. And then I find them later. And then you don't have to have one of these, comes in the kit. This is to get lids out. So you want to boil lids, not like super boil, bring them to boil and stop. This helps expand the rubber gasket around the lid. So when you heat these up, it expands this ring, and you place on top of your jar, then you place it in here. What this does is it gets it out of the water for you. It is not a necessity. You can fish them out other ways. It just comes with your kit. It's super helpful for not burning your fingers, because I've done it. And that is really all that I have for like a crash course. I know it's a lot, and I know it's not enough. There's so much out there, and it is so easy to get caught up in the wrong ways. So please do your research. I will bring you along for canning videos and how-tos, but always make sure you do your research as well. This may look like a lot of stuff. It's not even all my stuff, but you don't need all of this to start out. You don't need these two just because they're pretty and they're big. They are pricey. You do not need them to start off with. I just got these last year. So I've been canning since 2014, and I just got these. It was from Santa, and it's because I was canning everything for my family and in this little guy, which he did great. He's a trooper. But the amount of food that I was canning, it was taking me weeks. So Mom bought me these as well so that I can have 3 going at a time. This doubles as 2. So I hope this helps. I know it's a lot of information, and I know, again, it's not enough information. I will break down each. This is just a quick crash course. Quick as in however long this video is. I know that's not quick. But I just wanted to get you started, or see what you're going to dive into, if you dive into it. If you don't, you don't. There's other storing methods for food, and I will also take you along for those methods as well. I do not put all my eggs in one basket. Chicken pun. No, I do not preserve my food all in one way, because you never know what's going to happen. I dehydrate food. I freeze food. I can food. There is Mylar bags. I don't have any, but I want to do it. So I will have food stored in different methods. This is just one method that I'm going to show you. I will show you the other ones as well. So I want to thank you for joining me along this crash course canning on No Acres Homestead, and I hope that it helped. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more updates.